Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Vanity Project. I'm Tomas and today I'm going to be doing something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and that is ranking the entire Doctor Who series, in my personal opinion, from best to worst. Now today's episode's only going to be covering ranks number 4 through 7, mainly because the ones that are at the bottom 3 or the top 3 are usually the ones that I have the most to talk about. So for this video, I'm really going to go for the more average of seasons and sort of explain why. And I know I'm probably going to make a lot of you a little shocked by some of them, you know, if you know me. But without further ado, let's go into the top 10 best seasons of New Who. So starting off today's countdown at number 4, we have Series 5 of Doctor Who, a fantastic series, home to one of the best season openers of all time, really, in my opinion. The 11th Hour is one of the most brilliant episodes of Doctor Who and introduces anyone to the show, really, in a fantastic manner. Matt Smith is incredible in his first season, and he really had a lot to live up to after David Tennant's departure. But my god, this season is honestly really good. The thing is, though, it's not amazing. I mean, a lot of the episodes are just okay for the most part. They're not bad, per se. It's solid episodes for Matt Smith's first season. But nonetheless, it's not exactly full of gems. Now, one episode that I would say stands out from all the other ones is Vincent and the Doctor. And I know that one's really overhyped, but hey, it's worth it. Other than that, though, every single episode in that season is, well, really good. I mean, none of them are outright terrible except for one, but I'll get into that in another video maybe if you want that. But every other episode really is honestly solid in their own right. I mean, they're not bad. Really, what'll get you to like this series is all a matter of personal taste, if I'm gonna be honest. Alright, now moving on to the number 5 spot in our list, we have Series 6. Probably one of the most divisive series of the entire show, really. Series 6 is really an interesting case study to me, because it's full of fantastic episodes, some of the best episodes the show's ever had. And it's also full of some of the worst episodes that the show's ever had. The two-parter with the Almost people and the whole clones on the radioactive planet had some good things about it, but as a whole, I personally strongly dislike that episode. You know, Let's Kill Hitler. I'm not even gonna get into how bad that is. Firstly, the whole killing Hitler plot is just thrown aside halfway through the episode. It's really, the episode could have taken place anywhere, because really it's just the Doctor chasing around River Song the entire episode. Any setting could have been used. The Tesselecta was a really underutilized enemy, I thought, in that episode. And my gosh, for a while, this season had the worst season finale out of any of the other New Who series. The Wedding of River Song. Now, there are a lot of people out there who like it, and I can understand why. There are a lot of good things to like about that episode. But to me, it just doesn't speak to me. The writing is really, really sloppy. The whole twist at the end is absolutely ridiculous and ruins what could have been a fantastic season arc. You'll notice a trend of that with Moffat's era. But really, it's just a disappointment of an episode. Now, on the flip side, the season has some of the best episodes in the entirety of New Who. We have The Girl Who Waited, my personal favorite out of the entire thing. A brilliant character study into Amy Pond and to Rory Williams in particular. I love those two. They're some of my favorite companions. The Doctor's Wife, a brilliant episode that finally gets to explore, the TARDIS as a character rather than just a device that takes us from place to place. We really get to see the character there. The God Complex, an episode that for some reason I've heard a lot of people don't like much, but I personally love it. The God Complex was one of the first Matt Smith episodes I ever saw, and it had me hooked. And of course, the opening two-parter with Day of the Moon and the Impossible Astronaut. Brilliant, brilliant start to the series. It really introduced a lot of, the mystery behind it. Sadly, it didn't pay off really well in the end, but I don't care. It was a great opening two-parter. And A Good Man Goes to War was a great mid-season finale. This is one of the few times I think Doctor Who, because they would often go on mid-season breaks for the show. It didn't work in Season 7, but in Season 6, this season in particular, worked really well, so great job. So, coming up at number 6 is one that I don't think a lot of people really suspect I enjoy so much. But funny enough, I've watched it a good 3 times recently for some reason. It's very weird. But Series 1 goes in my number 6 spot. Series 1 actually deserves a bit more credit, I think. It's not really great, especially seeing all of the brilliant episodes that come later afterwards. But Series 1 had quite a few solid stories an episode. My personal favorite, Dalek, is an absolutely brilliant episode, filled with a lot of action and suspense. It's one of the few Dalek episodes in New Who that make the idea of a Dalek scary. The further along we get in Dalek storylines, they become more numerous, yet less threatening each time. It seems like every time the Doctor faces against the Daleks, he finds it easier and easier to beat them, which is very disappointing. But Dalek was a fantastic episode, especially for Series 1. It's absolutely brilliant. Another episode I like is two-parter, The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances. My gosh, I love that two-parter. It's so frightening. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. The transformation sequence at the end of The Empty Child is absolutely terrifying on first viewing. I'm gonna be honest, when I first saw this episode, way back when, I could not sleep that night. It genuinely terrified me. It's such an amazingly good episode. I would highly recommend it. Father's Day is an episode that I get what people like, but I don't quite like as much. It is a very good episode, but to me, there are a lot of better ones in the season. The Unquiet Dead, very good. Rose is an episode that really takes seeing the rest of the Doctor Who series to really get into. Now, if you start off with Rose, that's perfectly fine, but when I tried starting to watch Doctor Who with Rose, it was very confusing, and I really didn't quite... It didn't get me into the show, let's just say that. If anything, I sort of thought, this show isn't for me, until I started watching some David Tennant episodes, and I thought, okay, this show's actually really good. I shouldn't have judged it from that first episode. But Rose is a pretty solid starting episode to the series. It's not brilliant, especially seeing what comes afterwards, and especially compared to episodes such as The 11th Hour, it holds no contest. But Rose is pretty good. The only really weaker episodes, and I'm not going to say bad episodes, because this series, to me, doesn't have any outright terrible episodes. The only weaker episodes to me are Aliens of London and The Long Game. Those two episodes are not bad by any means. They're just not really that great. Especially Aliens of London. That episode really got on my nerves more than anything. But, it's okay. And The Long Game, well, let's just say it did feel pretty long. At least to me personally. The story was interesting, but I just did not think the villain was really that great. Now, what I do like about this episode is how it plays a role in the finale of the season. That I really liked. It was really cool, and it's something they do later with Series 10, which I'll get to in another video. But yeah, Series 1, excellent start to the show. Not brilliant, but really not bad. It definitely deserves a lot more recognition than I think it gets. Coming in at number 7, and I'm gonna probably get a lot of people banging down my doors for this one, but Series 2. Now hold up, drop your pitchforks and torches, let me explain myself. Okay, Series 2 is a really good series. David Tennant is brilliant. It's an introduction to a new Doctor and his new regeneration, and it has some of my favorite episodes in the entire Tennant era. But this is the first season that really has any outright bad episodes. Series 1 had some meh episodes like The Long Game and Aliens of London, but looking back at Series 1, I can't think of a single outright terrible episode. Series 2, on the other hand, I could list a few. The Idiot's Lantern, although not really the worst, is kind of bland. The villain's very annoying, and it's rather ridiculous what the villain does in that episode to me, with them stealing their faces onto the televisions. It's really silly to me. Fear Her, I don't necessarily hate, although I do know why so many people very strongly dislike it. It's very slow. The concept I don't think is executed as well as it could have been. And a lot of the characters and stuff is just boring, and it's also a Dr. Light episode. And I'm sorry, I don't like Rose Tyler that much. I just don't. And having to go through an entire episode that's mainly centered around her was just agony for me. And we all know what many people consider to be by far the worst episode of the series, Love and Monster. Another Doctor and Companion Light episode with a really ridiculous villain. Now, I liked a lot of the characters in it. Like, a lot of the members in there of the Doctor Search fan club out there. They were really interesting. I liked some of the character dynamics. But the monster was absolutely silly, which makes sense considering that it was drawn by, a 9-year-old, or maybe a bit younger, I don't quite recall. It was part of a contest. But the villain was really silly, and the ending was just too happy ever after convenient for me, so it really did not work for me as a whole. But there are things I rather enjoy about Series 2. The Girl in the Fireplace, absolutely brilliant writing from Stephen Moffat back before he started taking over the show, and we know what happens then. The Age of Steel and The Rise of the Cybermen, two of my favorite New Who Cybermen stories out of the entire series, because the rest of New Who I don't feel executes the concept quite as much, with the exception of this season's finale. Speaking of which, Doomsday and Army of Ghosts. Oh my gosh. What a great finale. That is by far one of my favorite finales in Doctor Who. The only problem I have with it is just a really minor nitpick, which is the Cybermen get tossed aside way too easily by the Daleks. But it was absolutely amazing seeing two of the show's biggest villains clashing together in one epic season finale. It was so brilliant. And the best part, Rose Tyler finally leaves! Until later, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But overall, Series 2 isn't bad. It's just, to me, there's so many other better Doctor Who seasons or series out there. So really, as a whole, it's kind of the weaker one out of all of them. And it's very surprising, especially hearing from me. I'm actually surprised because I did a Doctor Who marathon preparing for this, and going back to it, I realized that I enjoy Series 1 a lot more than I enjoy Series 2, which is very weird because I'm a massive David Tennant fan, I'm gonna be honest. But I find a lot more enjoyment when it comes to Series 1 than I do Series 2. But that's just my opinion. So guys, that was Doctor Who, all the series ranked from 4 all the way to 7. I'm going to make 2 other videos. That's 2. Forget it. 2 other videos for ranks number 1, 2, and 3. And and ranks 8, 9, and 10. Mainly because I have a lot more to talk about when it comes to those series. This one I've kind of been repeating myself a whole lot, saying, oh, it's just meh, or oh, it's really good, but like, you know, I'm really passionate about my #1 best series. So, I hope to see you guys in the next video, and until then, this is Tomas from Vanity Project, signing off.